Good evening, everybody. It's Thursday, so you know what that means. It's time for the Mubarak Law Facebook Live. I'm Naif Mubarak with Mubarak Law in downtown. We have a lot of interesting things to share with you today, so we're just going to give everybody a few seconds or a minute to join us and hope that you enjoy today's content. All right, so it is October 1st, 2020. I'm not sure if many of us believe it or not, but we are more than 2/3 of the way through the year, and we're happy to kick off this amazing month. I love October for numerous reasons. First and foremost, it's my mom's birthday month, my brother's. We have Halloween to celebrate, breast cancer awareness to educate ourselves about the health and the global effect breast cancer has on men and women. And it's also the Indigenous People Day holiday is in this wonderful month of October. So I really, it is one of my favorite months, and I'm welcoming it with open arms and hope we can finish this year strong and turn 2020 around. So we are alive and healthy. So thank you for joining us today on this week's Mubarak Law Live. Couple updates before we get started. Of course, there's still time to register to vote, regardless of your political affiliation or your opinion. Take this time and this opportunity to register to vote if you are an American citizen. The deadline for Florida is October 5th. If you are not a citizen, do not register to vote. This can have serious consequences for you. All right, this is a little bit exciting for me, and I am extremely humbled. I was notified late Tuesday that I was nominated and chosen to be on the Orlando Business Journal 40 Under 40 Executives. I am extremely honored. I've been reading Orlando Business Journal probably for 10 years, and I read this list every year. And to be joined with representatives from the state of Florida who are in the House of Representatives from Florida and all sorts of executives from Lockheed Martin, et cetera. It's really an honorable list, and I am humbled by all of your well wishes and all the congratulations I've received. So thank you guys so much. We're going to have a newspaper article about it, so please look for that. Give us your feedback, and appreciate everybody who reached out. Really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. And I am so honored to be on that list. Some other good news. I went to a citizenship interview today, the same day the client has received approval, and she is now a citizen, and she can now register to vote before this year's election. So today's citizenship interview went perfect. She had a long trip over a year, and this has broken her continuous residence, but we were able to file after the residence was reestablished, and there was no issue. So it's really important that you consult with a competent attorney prior to filing your citizenship application, especially if you have complications like trips longer than 6 months or criminal history. So congratulations to her. I'm very proud of her. She was nervous and she did perfect, passed her test with flying colors. Some other good news. This is part of our updates. For the last few weeks, we have been talking about this huge fee increase from USCIS happening, where the cost for citizenship would be raised from $725 to over $1,100, where the cost for a green card or adjustment of status application based on marriage will go from $1,800 to $2,700, nearly over $1,000 extra in fees for these types of applications. Well, there's been litigation against USCIS for having the Department of Homeland Security head as improperly chosen to lead that position. And Judge White has agreed to an injunction and an enjoinment. So this means for the time being, the fee increase that was set to go on tomorrow is on hold. So if you didn't have time to get your citizenship application, you have been given an 11th hour extension, and now these fees are to remain at $725 for citizenship and $1,800 for adjustment of status applicants based on marriage. So this is really good news for those who kind of were coming to our office, just in the last few days. And sometimes we had to turn people away. Unfortunately, there simply was not enough time to put together a case of that magnitude. When you review an adjustment of status case, you see that there are an incredible amount of forms: the I-130, I-130A, I-485, 765, 864, 944, I-131, nearly 7 forms, minimum 20 pages each. So now you've been given an opportunity to still file your applications. So please contact us if you have any questions. The fees have been stopped. They're not going to be increased. This is not permanent. So really do not take advantage of this opportunity that's been presented to you. This is an enjoinment, meaning it's like an injunction, temporary until a final decision is made on this litigation case. So the government can appeal this, or can a final conclusion can be held. They can redo all of this. So you want to be very careful on how long you postpone filing, so you can take advantage of the current fees before they increase. Another quick and important update for you is that the visa bulletin is now out for October, and many of the employment-based categories are now current. So what do I mean by that? So just like you have family categories and different petitions, for example, if you're a US citizen and you petition for your unmarried child who's over 21, it's a different category than your married child one, your married child over 21. So one would be a F1, one would be F3 category. So you want to make sure that you are checking the visa bulletin in order to file your adjustment of status applications. The same thing that we have in employment-based visas, we have categories: EB1, EB2, EB3, for example. These categories sometimes have backlogs, meaning that you have to wait several years before you can pursue the visa or the adjustment of status application. So now these visas are current, meaning that if you have an approved I-140 on this employment-based category, you can seek adjustment of status or consular processing. There are some nuances there. Again, check with an immigration attorney who you trust and and make sure to take advantage of the visa bulletin being current. Many of the employer petition fees are the ones that were also going up. So any employers who are joining us tonight, make sure you consider filing a petition for that individual you were thinking about hiring now, before the fee increase takes effect. So that is the visa bulletin. There is a USCIS app. This app is very helpful. If you have a case that you're monitoring, you can put in the receipt number and you will receive updates automatically on your app. And it also gives you notifications whenever there's news or an update on the visa bulletin. So check out that USCIS app. Immigration courts. Immigration courts have opened. They are doing what is called only individual calendar hearings. These are like the final trial for an immigration removal or deportation case. Right now, they're not doing what's called a master calendar hearing. So if you have an immigration court hearing in the next week or so, you're most likely going to be postponed, as immigration courts are in phase 2, meaning they're not doing any master calendar hearings right now for non-detained individuals. Those who are detained, where they are proceeding with their cases as normal, only non-detained individual calendar hearings will be changed. And some interesting news about the immigration courts. It's unofficial. I had nothing from the government as of yet, but the immigration court is moving in a few years from off of Colonial Drive to downtown. It's actually going to be a block and a half from our office. So we're going to be very close to the immigration courts, walking distance. We can expect the immigration courts to move in a few years. Again, I don't have official confirmation, but we do have confirmation that that will occur. So we do the Facebook Live in Arabic from time to time, every third Thursday. Next week, we're going to do a Facebook Live in English and Portuguese. We also have the ability to do it in Spanish and French. So if you have any desire or need to hear some of our questions or to ask us questions in your native language, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. You can do so through our website or through our newsletter or through any of our social medias. So please subscribe to our newsletter. You could do so through our website or follow us on Instagram and Facebook. And that is the best way to get up-to-date updates. As soon as they come out, we are able to share them with you all. So use those social medias as a way to communicate with us. I'm still waiting to hit 100 subscribers on YouTube. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to us and find our videos there and share these videos if you find it helpful. In addition to having Facebook Live in your language, and answering immigration questions or personal injury questions in your language, we can also have different experts join us. If you've seen our program before, we've had chiropractors, a former immigration judge, attorney Imran Malik, join us to talk about different areas of the law that many of you might have questions. We also have Ben Hunter, obviously, who's our of counsel, talking about the importance of wills, trust, and estates. In the very near future, I'm excited to announce that we're going to have an attorney. His name is Richard Schwam, and he will be able to discuss the very intricate details of medical malpractice. We receive calls all the time, people concerned about their injury and about their treatment. It's not as they expected, or they have encountered all sorts of difficulties with their treatment and want to know, do they have a medical malpractice claim? I think this is going to be super informative for you all. So if for any topic, really, if you would like to learn more about it, please contact us and we will definitely look into having somebody join us. I'm a firm believer in doing what you know, so I'm not going to preach about family law or medical malpractice, okay? We will bring some close, trusted professionals to talk about what it is that they know and to share and educate with you all. Another attorney we hope to have in the near future is attorney Rania Arwani, she of the Arwani Law Firm, where she specializes in family law, divorces, child custody, and some things that are really important for Central Florida, for our community, for all of you to know. All right. So we do have several questions that I've received on the E2 investor visa. This visa is called a treaty investor visa. And basically, you must be a national for a specific country in order to qualify for these types of visas. What do I mean, a national? So you have to be a citizen of, for example, Germany, of Italy. There's a specific list of countries that have signed a lease with they have signed a treaty with our country, the United States, for these investor visas. So for many people who want to invest in the United States or bring a business concept that they think will flourish here, or for people who want to, try living in the US, this is an amazing vessel that can allow people to come to the United States through investment. And it does not require the $1 million, the $1.8 million for investment. It's actually a lot more reasonable for everyday folks who are looking to invest. We've done them for as little as $35,000 before with approval. It's not recommended to go that low. But really, the test is it substantial? Is it not marginal? Is it sufficient to run this business enterprise? One of the questions that we receive very often is my wife or spouse, husband, and children included in these E2 visa applications? Absolutely. If the children are under 21 years old and not married, your children will have the right to accompany you to the United States to live here on the E2. Also, if you're married and it is a legal marriage and recognized by the United States, your spouse also has the ability for you to come. So this is a really nice visa. There's the processing times. If you're in the US on a lawful status, you can seek what's called premium processing. And this will get us a decision and a result on your case, hopefully a response from USCIS within 15 business days. I have some comments here. My cousin, Base Molly, looking good. Thank you, cuz. And Shahida asking Naif, is the American Embassy open if they approve the case? I'm not sure I understand the question. Many embassies across the world are opening up right now. So we've seen them start to process immigrant visas and non-immigrant visas again. So I believe if you're asking, are they for approved cases, are they moving forward with them? Yes, we've seen them slowly but surely moving forward with these cases, and they are now being processed. Every country it has a different situation depending on the consulate or the embassy in that region. So you can reach out to them. Every specific consulate has its own website. Go to the Department of State, state.gov, learn more about that specific embassy, and reach out and see what you can learn about your case and process. Of course, if you have a question for us, feel free to send us these questions, and we will address them in the next Facebook Live. Another question we receive on the E2 visa is, how will I know what school to choose for my children? Well, this is really your decision. As long as you are here in lawful status and you have a place of residence, you can register your children at a public school. So if you're going to do public school, you're going to have to go based on your address. If you're going to do private school, based on your selection, but you must have approved status as an E2 family before seeking the enrollment. I've seen it too many times where people come on tourist visas, they plan on doing the E2 visa, and then they enroll their children prior to the actual approval. This is problematic for a number of reasons. First, by enrolling the children, you have technically violated their status. Many of the schools will not even accept the children. So it's really critical before you move your family over to the United States on what is going to be a huge change for them. Make sure you speak to an attorney to make sure what is lawful, what is permitted, and what is the best way for you all to handle this type of process. So that answers the question that we receive a lot for E2s. Can my children attend school? Yes, they can. Another question we receive is, can my spouse work? Yes. However, they must request authorization from the U.S. government called an employment authorization document. We call it an EAD. So yes, they will be able to work only after this document is issued. Children of E2 visa holders, unfortunately, are not able to work. So even if the child becomes 16, 17, and wants to get a work permit, they are not entitled to this benefit under the E2 treaty visa. Another important thing, since we're speaking about children, is one question we receive: what will happen to my child when they become 21 years old? Are they going to be forced out of the country? And this is a super important question. When your children become the age of 21, they are no longer considered immediate relatives under the immigration law, meaning they're no longer available for this benefit. So you must plan ahead prior to the child's, a year, 2 years minimum, to ensure that we find a solution for your child. We could change their status to an F1 international student if they wish to study. If they're entrepreneurs like yourself, we can go ahead and create an E2 visa just for them. So you want to make sure you plan for this. Every time we do an E2 visa case in my office at Mubarak Law, one of my first questions is, do you have children, and how old is your oldest child? Because if somebody is planning to move their family to the US to better their children, and their child is 19 years old, I need to tell them the hard truth that sometimes they're going to age out and they won't have any options. So please plan for that accordingly. We can always look to find permanent options. So for the E2 visa, it's a great gateway to get people here to the country. And then in the meantime, find other alternatives for them. For example, let's say I'm married and then my spouse is a pharmacist. If she is able to obtain a job with a pharmacy and they petition for this individual, they will be able to get her a green card and essentially get the family a green card. So what we do at our office is, even though you come to me and you want to invest and for example, your wife doesn't work, we want to assess everybody. Who should the E2 visa primary visa holder be? And what I mean by that is, who has the best chances of finding employment outside of their own business? based on their credentials, education, and work experience. That individual might be the key to getting a permanent solution for your visa. So it's really important that we assess all of this, and that's what we do during our consultations. Right now, I have another question. I'll come to that in just a second, Ms. Nan. I want to get through some more E2 visas, but thank you for the question, and I promise I'm going to answer it before we end today's Facebook. So do I need to travel to the United States before the E2 application is submitted? Again, a very lawyer answer you're going to receive from me is it depends. So if you want to proceed with what's called consular processing your E2 visa, we would make an appointment for you at the embassy or the consulate. You would present the E2 packet to the consular officer. They will review and they will issue a visa. The other option is the change of status option, meaning you are in the United States in some other status other than an E2 visa, and you would like to change status. This is the one I was talking about, not to enroll your children, not to move them here. Simply applying does not guarantee. There's absolutely no guarantees in life. There's no guarantees in immigration law. So anybody who tells you otherwise, I would tell you, is not telling the truth. So you want to make sure you're planning for your family accordingly. Oftentimes, I suggest to the individuals, if somebody wants to apply while they're in the US, they apply first, and then their family is to follow them once we have an approval. This way, the children are not uprooted too many times, and they won't have a big trauma on their lives. So one question is, I only have permission to stay for 2 years. Is that normal? That's correct. So if you have a tourist visa and you enter, typically you're authorized to stay in your passport for a 6-month period. If you're entering the United States on an E2 visa, you're going to be authorized for 2 years. Now, this is really nice because in some cases, let's say your visa itself, the visa on the passport is valid for 5 years. When you enter the US, they're going to stamp you in for a 2-year period. However, at the end of this 2-year period, if you travel back home, let's say to England, upon your reentry, you will get another 2 years. So if you have a 5-year visa and you play your cards right, you can basically extend your status for 7 years without having to hire an attorney again or without having to go through the embassy. Now, not every country has a 5-year E2 visa. So these are treaties. Literally, there's a treaty between every country and the US who have signed these E2 visas, and they have different requirements and different rules. For example, Jordan, Egypt, you guys have what's called a single entry visa, meaning you can only enter the US once. Each time you leave, you're required to go through consular processing again before you can return to the US and get a visa. All right, we have a question here from Nejwa, and I promise I will answer that as well. We're going to get through one more E2 visa, then we'll get to Nan and Nejwa's questions. Thank you guys for joining us today. How do I renew my visa? So I just spoke about traveling for those who want to trigger the additional 2-year authorization period. If you're here and you have absolutely no desire to go abroad or to travel, or let's say you're not able to because of the COVID crisis, for example, you can seek an extension here in the United States by filing what's called a Form I-539. You will have to demonstrate that the business is operating and meet the requirements that are mandated for an extension. So those have been the E2 FAQs, frequently asked questions. These will also be on our YouTube channel. We also have all sorts of other information on our YouTube channel and on our website. And now I'm going to turn to Nan's questions and then Nejwa. So Miss Nan is asking, how long does it take for the approval of an I-130 if married with a US citizen? This is a good question because many people want to know what's the entire process like. Filing an I-130 petition for your spouse right now is taking anywhere, I would say, from 5 to 10 months. This huge variance is due to the fact that there's more than one office processing these. So if you happen to get the office that's more behind, you might be looking closer to 10 months. If you get the faster office, hopefully 5 or 6 months. Once the I-130 is approved, it's really important to note that this does not give an automatic benefit to the individual. This does not give anybody status. This simply means that the relationship established between you and that individual has been deemed valid, and now there will be a visa available to them if they are an immediate relative. So if they're here, you can pursue adjustment of status in most cases if it is the spouse of a U.S. citizen and there was a lawful entry. There's some caveats to this. If they were here on a J-1 visa that was subject to 2-year requirements, or somebody entered on a crewman visa from a cruise ship, you may not be eligible to adjust status even if you have an approved I-130. So please, before you start this process on your own, speak with an attorney, because you may find yourself with a denial and then in deportation and in front of an immigration judge. So if we can avoid all of this, I think it's really important that you do so. All right, Ms. Nejwa, can I file a lawsuit against the American Embassy in Egypt for disrupting work at my husband's case? So for disrupting work, I'm not sure what that means, but you can file a suit. We have filed lawsuits against the embassies abroad. We've done it against Morocco. We've done it here. Basically, when a case has been stuck, for example, at the embassy in Casablanca, and it's been over 2 years, we have made our notifications. We've contacted our senators. We're sending emails. There's nothing left to do. So what do? We file a lawsuit against the Department of State for not doing their job. It's called a writ of mandamus, and it's extremely helpful in forcing them to make a final decision and determination on your case. It does not guarantee approval, but it does force them to make a decision. What happens a lot of times in consular processing is what we call administrative processing, which means your case is going to limbo, your case will be forgotten about, and it can go on for months. So if you're in this situation and you've made inquiries and you've contacted your congressman, it may be time to file that lawsuit. And it doesn't seem fair, but there's been multiple times where we've filed a lawsuit and within 60 days, magically the visa is issued. So it's an amazing thing that we do have in our country, the ability to file suits against these agencies. However, it is costly, and it is time consuming. So if you find yourself in this situation, yes, you may be able to file a suit against a U.S. government agency like the Department of State, who is in charge of the consular offices. Okay. This was a great live. I appreciate you guys joining us today. As I mentioned, next week, we're going to do this in a similar format. However, we're going to have Miss Jessica from our office here. And Jessica is a fluent Portuguese Brazilian speaker, and we will do our questions and answers in Portuguese. So I look forward to that. And we hope to see you here next week. As always, send us your questions in advance. If there's any topics you hope to learn about, we are here to help educate you all. I say it repeatedly, knowledge is power, and I want to share this platform to educate you all and bring you something that you find worthwhile. If you found this video worthwhile, please share it with your friends and family, and hopefully you join us soon. And no, Nejwa, thank you. It's my honor to answer your question and for you to join us. Hope everybody has a great night. Welcome October 1st, 2020, and we'll see you guys here next week at 6:30.